Hey, my friends, we will be right back to the show. But I have a question for you. Are you struggling with the impact of childhood trauma? Well, know that you're not alone. I'm here to let you know that I'm starting a brand new weekly coaching group that includes a year of life coaching, accountability, support, habit and goal setting, and more. I'm starting a waitlist for the group right now, and I'm only taking a handful of people. And I'll let you know that through this personalized coaching, we'll work together to help you understand how your childhood trauma has shaped your beliefs, behaviors, emotions, and will help you create a roadmap for healing and growth. Right now, you can schedule an absolutely free coaching session with me and get put on the wait list if you go to thinkunbroken.com. My friends, it's your time to turn your trauma into triumph, breakdowns into breakthroughs, and become the hero of your own story. And I'm here to support you in doing that. Just go to thinkunbroken.com to register for a free coaching call with me and to get put on the wait list for the brand new weekly coaching program. We'll be right back to the show. But before we do, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, factormeals.com, where if you go to factormeals.com/unbroken50 and use the code unbroken50, you can get 50% off your first order. That's factormeals.com/unbroken50. If you're like me and you are a person who is busy trying to create a life, heal, work on their health, wealth, and relationships, and not to mention deal with the day-to-days of normal life, you do not have time to be going to the grocery store and trying to figure out what you're going to cook every single day of the week. In fact, one time I did the math and I realized I was spending over 15 hours a week at the grocery store and cooking. When I added Factor, I got to use that time for myself, for my family, for my friends, for my community, and for my business. And so if you're in the place where you need some more support in the kitchen, head to factormeals.com/unbroken50 and use the code unbroken50 to get 50% off. Hey, my friends, we will be right back to the show. But I have a question for you. Are you struggling with the impact of childhood trauma? Well, know that you're not alone. I'm here to let you know that I'm starting a brand new weekly coaching group that includes a year of life coaching, accountability, support, habit and goal setting, and more. I'm starting a waitlist for the group right now, and I'm only taking a handful of people. And I'll let you know that through this personalized coaching, we'll work together to help you understand how your childhood trauma has shaped your beliefs, behaviors, emotions, and will help you create a roadmap for healing and growth. Right now, you can schedule an absolutely free coaching session with me and get put on the wait list if you go to thinkunbroken.com. My friends, it's your time to turn your trauma into triumph, breakdowns into breakthroughs, and become the hero of your own story. And I'm here to support you in doing that. Just go to thinkunbroken.com to register for a free coaching call with me and to get put on the wait list for the brand new weekly coaching program. What's up, Unbroken Nation? Hello, my friends. I'm Michael Unbroken, host of the Think Unbroken podcast and founder of thinkunbroken.com. And I'm honored to be your trauma coach and mentor because I believe that everyone is capable of getting unstuck, cultivating self-love, and becoming the hero of their own story. I believe that when implemented correctly, the practical tools and education you will receive from this show will help you lead an unbroken and extraordinary life. I believe that no matter what we come from, that we all have the ability to choose ourselves first, to create and manifest a powerful and grace-filled future and love the reflection in the mirror. I believe that every day is a day to grow, learn, heal, and change. That's why I started my company, thinkunbroken.com, which is an online training and healing and personal growth platform where you get everything that I know about how to get motivated, be accountable, get out of the vortex, and become the hero of your own story through community, connection, and commitment. For more information, visit thinkunbroken.com. Please listen closely as you may learn just one thing that will help you be unbroken. And please share this episode with at least 3 of your friends because we all need community and connection in our healing journey. And be sure to DM me and tag me on Instagram at Michael Unbroken so that I can say hi. I just want to thank you again for being a part of this, for listening, and being a member of the Unbroken Nation. Now, let's get into today's show and make the world unbroken.
This is your brain on trauma. When you put a kid who had experienced adversity in an MRI machine, you could see measurable changes to the brain structures. Dr. Nadine Burke-Harris. The impact of abuse on the childhood trauma survivor's brain is similar to that of a war veteran or car accident survivor. When we are still in the developmental stages of youth, our brains are the most susceptible to the implications of trauma and abuse. When we suffer trauma, our brains, by default, release exponentially higher levels of cortisol than someone who had a childhood without trauma. The human brain is a hyper-complicated machine that is constantly working to regulate and understand situations by protecting us from impending death or disaster. The ability to survive even the most dangerous experiences is a mechanism that is slowly developed over time. But for children who have had a traumatic childhood, the brain begins to prematurely set us up for the worst-case scenario. It's easy to understand why our brains would want to protect us from a T-Rex. But what happens when the T-Rex sleeps next door? Or worse, what happens when the T-Rex comes home every night? When faced with a T-Rex, you are immediately left with a choice to run, freeze, or fight for your life. These are all natural responses due to cortisol being pumped through your body during dangerous events. Cortisol release is a natural response that occurs in our hippocampus and triggers the sympathetic nervous system, which in turn prepares the body for incoming danger and puts you into a fight, flight, or freeze state. This mechanism is critical to human survival. However, when that same mechanism is stuck in the on position, it leads to dire consequences that affect both the brain and body. When introduced to cortisol, the body becomes hyperactive and focused on survival. This means that all non-essential functions shut down. The result includes emptying bowels without warning, shuffling blood to the extremities in preparation for battle, and shifting the brain to its most animalistic state, which can cause tunnel vision, confusion, or feeling lost. Growing up in a cortisol state can lead to a litany of developmental issues, both physical and mental. A child who is raised in a safe and loving environment will rarely, if ever, be subject to the impact of fight, flight, or freeze, or FFF. Children who are raised in a state of trauma have brains that are bathed in cortisol, and due to the compounding nature of abuse and neglect, that mechanism never completely turns off as it should because the danger is never quite gone. There are ways to mitigate the effect of cortisol on the brain, and we will explore those in later chapters. The impact of this continued state of trauma can lead to developmental issues and affect a child's ability to learn and to adapt to appropriate social norms and behaviors, including empathy, sympathy, and understanding the difference between right and wrong. The very idea of self is stripped and replaced with dissociative behavior and physical health symptoms. Some of the lasting effects of trauma can be seen, but most cannot.
Hey, Unbroken Nation, a quick pause in today's episode to tell you about the brand new Think Unbroken app. That's right, I just released a brand new app in the App Store that you can take the first course in the Think Unbroken curriculum, The 5 Keys to Healing Trauma. It's a 7-day course for free. All you have to do is go into your App Store right now. You can pause this video and search Think Unbroken. That's on both Apple and Android. And you can take the Think Unbroken 5 Keys to Healing Trauma 7-day course for free. This is daily coaching from me. It's daily activities, daily check-ins. I built this course in this app specifically to bring huge value to you in your life, where you're at and what you're trying to do and going next and becoming the hero of your own story. So check out the App Store again, Apple and Android. Just simply search Think Unbroken and you will see the Think Unbroken app. And until next time, my friend, be unbroken.
Dissociation. The skeletons of our past walk with our shadows, and the skeletons of our present walk by our side. Michael Anthony. The majority of my childhood was a daydream. In order to survive, I had to dissociate from the nights of beatings, beratings, and verbal abuse. I felt like I was watching what was happening to me from outside my body. It was as if I was hovering over the scene in a film. I could see the little boy version of me being hit, hurt, screamed at, and abused, but I couldn't feel it. My brain and body had become separated. When I was at my most dissociated, I could not focus, make rational decisions, like the time I let my car get repossessed so I could go to the bar with the money, or understand why when I hurt people they cried. Any emotions from another human sent me running for the hills, and in relationships, I pushed back at the first sign of tears or emotional responses. Emotions to me were weaknesses, and they made me uncomfortable, because all emotions made me uncomfortable. My stoic presence was not about grace, but instead due to my dissociated state. To quote Patrick Bateman from American Psycho, I simply am not there. You may be in the same boat and wondering if you have sociopathic or psychopathic tendencies. I would argue that perhaps you just have not reassociated. Before I did the work, I could count the few times in my life that I had cried between the ages of 12 and my mirror moment. The day my grandma died, when I couldn't get a loan for art school in New York City, when my ex told me that I wasn't her person, and when I watched Good Will Hunting for the first time. My ability to feel the most vulnerable of human emotions has been predicated in a choice to allow myself to feel them. Of all the things I have done in my journey, allowing myself to access emotional responses has without question been the single hardest practice to curate. When I say I practice, I mean it in the sense that I have had to hone the space within myself to allow myself a place to be vulnerable enough to feel. It's not that I have put myself in a position to cry on command like a stage actor, but to simply feel emotion. My ability to feel was stripped, and I had to rebuild it from the ground up. I felt nothing, and feeling anything, especially in the beginning, felt nearly impossible. I chose being emotional as a form of self-care because it is the most intimate thing that I can do as a human. Discovering the inner workings of your brain and body as a survivor of childhood trauma is one of the most critical steps that you can take in healing. Dissociation is a common side effect of the impact of abuse. In clinical terminology, dissociation is a mental health disorder that creates a separation between cognizant understanding of oneself and the automatic action one takes. Through dissociation, there is a lack of connection in actions, thoughts, memories, and emotions. In other words, dissociation is when the brain and body are out of sync. In a simple context, being dissociated is like sitting in a burning house, not realizing that you have a pack of matches in your hand. Dissociation can present as misremembering past events, zoning out in conversations, and interruptions in daily activities. Childhood trauma is a catalyst in becoming dissociated because escapism and disconnecting the brain from the body is not only a survival mechanism, but a natural reaction to traumatic experiences. That said, dissociation is not exclusive to childhood trauma survivors. Many victims and survivors of accidents, wars, and tragic events often find themselves dissociated. One of the reasons that dissociation is developed as a coping mechanism during abuse is so that we can survive trauma. At some points, it may even feel like your brain is not inside of your body, or like you are watching yourself experiencing life instead of being present. These are some of the signs of being dissociated: inability to remember specific events, blank spots of time and memories, a feeling of separation from yourself, spacing out and daydreaming, getting lost in active conversations, sudden changes in mental and emotional reactions, lying for no reason, being unaware of actions. having out-of-body experiences. If you need help with pain or anxiety, let me tell you about one of my favorite tools. It's NW Recovery CBD oil. You may know that, and I've mentioned this before, I have chronic pain and massive anxiety, and CBD oil has been such a profound tool in my journey. Recently, NW Recovery came out with their key lime flavored CBD oil that is non-psychotropic. It is non-psychoactive. And for a person like me who has a panic attack, if I touch THC, this is the perfect combination of delicious key lime and CBD. Something I literally do not leave home without. For more information, you can go to nw-recovery.com and use the keyword Unbroken to save 20% on your first order. Again, go to nw-recovery.com, keyword Unbroken, and have CBD change your life. Fight, flight, freeze. Fairy tales are more than true. Not because they tell us that dragons exist, but because they tell us that dragons can be beaten. Neil Gaiman. Not only are childhood trauma survivors exponentially more likely to be faced with mental and physical disorders, they are also more likely to be in a constant state of FFF, or fight, flight, freeze. Here are some of the mental and emotional issues that can manifest before the age of 18 due to the impact of toxic stress. Developmental disorders like ADHD, anxiety, depression, bipolar, and multiple personalities, failing grades, problems staying on task, detachment, negative self-thoughts, inability to dictate wants, needs, and interests, sleep issues like night terrors, fighting with peers, disruptive behavior, attention-seeking, violence against peers and/or animals, violent, unexpected outbursts, dissociative behavior, lack of self-worth, and blind spots in memory or amnesia. In adolescence, addiction begins to present itself in the forms of smoking, drinking, sex, porn, shopping, stealing, hoarding, and drug use. There are also a myriad of physical ailments that will begin to manifest as a result of trauma. Here are some of the physical manifestations of trauma in children: bedwetting, impulsive behaviors, asthma and allergies, overeating, unexplained illnesses, migraines, chronic flu, sinus and ear infections, hair loss, skin disorders like eczema, gastrointestinal disorders like Crohn's disease, colitis, and irritable bowel syndrome, self-harm like picking skin, biting nails, pulling eyelashes, cutting, and burning or branding, and suicide. Some of these symptoms may begin to manifest as soon as trauma occurs or in the late teens and throughout adulthood. The developmental issues associated with trauma also play a role in the day-to-day lives of adults. Have you ever been startled by a loud noise, find that throughout the day it's hard to breathe, or the memory of your father slamming the living room door after a night of drinking plays on repeat in your head? What happens to you when you are faced with nonviolent confrontation? Do you get clammy, stumble over your words, or do everything in your power to avoid having hard conversations? These are prime examples of the effects of trauma in daily life. Fight, flight, and freeze mechanisms are triggered by our sympathetic nervous system, or SNS. When triggered, our brain and body boost our adrenaline to prepare us to fight, run, or hide to preserve our lives. The fight mechanism can manifest in verbal or physical violence. Have you ever physically hit a partner, friend, sibling, or child? Have you ever yelled at someone or threatened violence for something that someone said or did because you felt that you had to protect yourself? Does it take hours or even days to come back to feeling normal after conflict? The fight, flight, and freeze response is one that is understood by many trauma warriors as it is very often the first line of defense for self-preservation. Perhaps you were beaten or hit for little things like putting on mismatched socks, being late back to the house after playing, asking questions, or being sick. The response to violence with violence became your default speed. Maybe it was lack of attention to your wants, needs, or interests that have led you to react with flight and avoidant behaviors when it comes to being faced with challenges or uncomfortable experiences. Or let's suppose that you freeze whenever you are asked to lead during a presentation or be the point person on a project. Maybe when it's game time, you dread taking the shot. Whereas many children are responded to and treated with compassion and care, you were not. Because of the foundation of abuse, fighting, running, or hiding become the default form of communication for responding to misunderstandings, miscommunications, frustrations, hurt feelings, and unacknowledged emotions. The impact of trauma and how it affects your behavior and physical body can be mitigated and even reversed through mindset practices, living a healthy lifestyle, understanding of self and environment, and becoming reassociated by reestablishing the mind-body connection.
Unbroken Nation, hope that you just got a tremendous amount of value from today's episode. I want to know what you think. Please do me a favor and review, rate, and share the episode with 3 friends on social media today. It would mean the world if you did, because ultimately at the end of the day, creating community and connection is how we heal generational trauma in the world. And I need your help to do that, Unbroken Nation. So if you're on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you are, please like, comment, share, review. I want to know not only what you like about the show, but how I can make the show better, how I can make this further about helping you on your healing journey. So do me a favor, and when you do, shoot me a screenshot of you making the review to my DM at Michael Unbroken on Instagram so that I can have a conversation with you, say hi, and more importantly, so I can share it with the Unbroken Nation. Thank you so much, my friend. Hey, my friends, we will be right back to the show. But I have a question for you. Are you struggling with the impact of childhood trauma? Well, know that you're not alone. I'm here to let you know that I'm starting a brand new weekly coaching group that includes a year of live coaching, accountability, support, habit and goal setting, and more. I'm starting a waitlist for the group right now, and I'm only taking a handful of people. And I'll let you know that through this personalized coaching, we'll work together to help you understand how your childhood trauma has shaped your beliefs, behaviors, emotions, and will help you create a roadmap for healing and growth. Right now, you can schedule an absolutely free coaching session with me and get put on the wait list if you go to thinkunbroken.com. My friends, it's your time to turn your trauma into triumph, breakdowns into breakthroughs, and become the hero of your own story. And I'm here to support you in doing that. Just go to thinkunbroken.com to register for a free coaching call with me and to get put on the wait list for the brand new weekly coaching program.